Good morning. I've come out here to Hollywood Beach on a cool morning here in South Florida. It's actually 55 degrees. This is the best sunrise I've had of all the times I've come out here. I figured a nice cool morning was going to make for some clearer skies than what I've been getting. That's exactly how it's turned out. This is a gorgeous ride out here this morning. I'm out here with a Nikon Z8 and I'm using the 24 to 120 millimeter lens. I have my Freewell ND filter system that I'm using. I've used as much as 10 stop neutral density filter. Right now I've gone ahead and removed that and gone to a 64 ND filter for these photographs, trying to get a little bit of that nice blur in the water. There's a structure here that has a few steps and I can get a little bit higher to an elevated position. And the reason I like to do that is because from this position, I can get more of the ocean to show up in the picture because I'm above the horizon line. And I think that really makes for better photographs. I try to find an edge on the light guard stand where I can put the focus box and I use that as my focus point. I'm shooting at an f11 and the shutter speed ranges depending on the height of the sun. Right now I'm at 1.6 of a second for these photographs, and I'm trying to go ahead and bracket, and I may end up doing some HDR to try to get the lifeguard stand to brighten up a little bit, because it's going to be darker because I'm concentrating on getting a good exposure for the sunrise. I have the camera on a tripod and that'll give me the ability to go ahead and make sure that everything's aligned correctly and there's no movement. I'm shooting with the self timer and I have it set for 5 seconds. The reason I do that is so that I don't get any vibration from my tripping the shutter button. I always mount an L bracket to the Z8. That way if I decide to take a vertical composition, I can quickly turn the camera around. I'm walking around here in the Boardwalk using the 24 to 120 Nikon Z lens. Along with that, I'm using the Nikon Z8. No need for polarize or anything like that to saturate colors right now, because the colors is just spectacular. Big challenge for me right now is trying to take images that are different than what I've done in the past, because I've done this so many times already. The composition I envision here is to have the wall along the bottom be like a leading line. I love the rows of palm trees kind of framing the lifeguard stand. I compose in a way where I can get everything. I really think I'm doing a pretty good job taking photos that I haven't taken before as far as compositions are concerned. That's really good. I'm really happy that I'm seeing that way out here today. The biggest reason that I'm being visually creative in a different way than I have in the past is because of the fact that I'm using the 24 to 120 millimeter lens from Nikon, where I can go ahead and zoom in and out. This one building behind me is a good example of the ability that a zoom lens gives you. Is I have a handful of different compositions, not moving too much from my spot, just because I am able to zoom in and out with the lens. When you're taking photos with a zoom lens, especially something like the 24 to 120, when you see your shadow in the image, what you want to do is actually get further away from your subject, and you'll see that you're eliminating your shadow as much as you possibly can, and then go ahead and use the zoom to zoom out and compose your picture that way. This composition of the building, I noticed my reflection on the glass door on my left hand side, so I went ahead and moved around a little bit, trying to eliminate the reflection from the door, and I was able to accomplish that. I like to do sometimes see if there's a way to use structures to perhaps use it for framing an image, or to include it perhaps in the foreground or the background. So I was able to go ahead and take a couple of images where I'm using the frame to compose. By bending down a little bit, I was able to make sure I didn't cut the upper edge on the window, and then I also took advantage of waiting for pedestrians to walk by. With this building here, you can see, because of the fact that I'm using the 24 to 120, how many different compositions I was able to get, really just by zooming in and out. One thing I like to do is make sure that I don't cut out anything on the edges, and if I can find things that are interesting to include on the edges, I always make sure I do that too. The architecture from back then is just really beautiful, and I really enjoy taking photos of it. Here on the Boardwalk, a lot of the buildings are older buildings, except for like a new hotel that may be up. So there's a lot of structures that are back from the Art Deco type era of South Florida, and it really makes for some beautiful photographs. My attention to this composition is the railing on the wall, and I like the leading line, as I like to say, with this image. I think I might make like a nice black and white, because the building is white, there's no colors on it. Even the sofa on the bottom is a white sofa. So I'm hoping, maybe I can make an interesting black and white image out of this. using the front dial on the Z8 along with the rear dial to change my shutter speeds and aperture. The camera does not come programmed that way, so my muscle memory is using it that way from a lifetime of doing it, where I'd use the front dial and the aperture dial to change my settings. I went ahead and in the settings of the Nikon Z8, I went ahead and changed the options of the two dials, where the front would be the shutter speed dial and the rear dial is the aperture dial. One thing that I've always enjoyed with mirrorless cameras, I make sure I always turn on the live view, and I try to always make a point to look at that exposure scale in the viewfinder. Just because you see it looking good inside the screen doesn't mean that you're not over or underexposing. What I try to do is see that I like the image that I'm seeing in the live view preview, and then I'll make sure that the exposure scale is where I want it in the camera. So in the sling bag, I have 2 extra batteries for my Z8, the Freewell magnet filter system. My Peak Design strap that I'm using with the Z8, you can quickly remove it if you need to. It's a little bit windy and you don't want the camera strap flapping around because of the wind. I've also brought with me my Nikon Z tripod. Those are some of the things that I brought out here with me today. I really encourage any of you out there that are enjoying this video to try this kind of photography, because I think it's really one of the best type of photographies that I can do to feel happy, to be honest with you, just because you're looking for images in places where most people wouldn't look. And it just keeps your mind just thinking about photography, and it's really awesome. I really think it's a great creative exercise to do this type of photography. I'm telling you, my mind isn't thinking about anything else other than looking for nice compositions and good lighting. I'm gonna go ahead now and close this video out. I hope that you guys have enjoyed my day out here at Hollywood Beach with the beautiful sunrise. And I ask you to please like and subscribe.